Well, our next guest says that relationships are like spandex. They reveal a lot about a person. And he should know. He exposed his heart to millions of people on national television.
Meet Jason Ilian. You might recognize Jason from ABC's The Bachelorette. He's single, 31 years old, and a virgin. Jason was eliminated from the show after he said he wouldn't have sex until after marriage.
In her interview afterwards, she simply said, "I just thought it was too stringent and not applicable to today's environment."
Jason reveals the controversial undressed truth about love, sex, and dating.
You gotta love him. Welcome back to the 700 Club, the author of Undressed, Jason Ilian. Boy, good for you.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. You too. It's been a year.
It has been. And what a year.
And the last time I talked to you, you were still single. Do you have an important relationship in your life now?
I do. I'm actually getting married in December.
No kidding.
Yes.
Good for you.
This
Congratulations.
Christian woman who totally outpunted my coverage with. So I'm very fortunate.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, you've written, I mentioned your book, Undressed, The Naked Truth About Love, Sex, and Dating.
Yes.
What was your purpose in doing this, Jason?
Well, you know, after being on The Bachelorette, and I'd been writing for years anyways, there's just such a hunger and thirst for real relationships based on God's principles. And we've kind of been pulled to extremes that on one side is, you know, I'd kind of kiss dating goodbye and, you know, I don't want to do anything and we'll just sit there and let God do all the work. And the other side was, you know, do anything. And this is hopefully in the middle ground where most of us live.
And parents really loved the I kiss dating goodbye because it kind of took the onus off of them if the child just simply didn't get involved in anything.
Right.
But you say that it's really important for there to be one-on-one dating. I mean, I think group dating is good up to a certain point, but talk about why you think that's important.
Yeah, you know, group dating has kind of been overblown. There's nothing wrong with meeting people in a group, but it's that one-on-one environment where we learn accountability and responsibility for our relationships. And that's something that we've taken off the responsibility off our shoulders, and it feels better that way. But it's not what you need to build an intimate, committed relationship.
Well, you know, it's pretty hard to get to know somebody really in depth in a crowd.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
It doesn't normally happen. You say that men have forgotten how to be men. What do you mean by that, and how does that affect dating?
Yeah, you know, I think that, and people ask me all the time, what is the one thing that we are lacking? And it's just that true, authentic, godly male leadership. And guys have forgotten how to just ask a girl out on a date and take the initiative and really treat them and be a servant leader in that relationship. And by doing that, it throws the entire balance off of where this relationship's going, how do you define it, what are we doing? And if men would take that leadership role as we're designed to be, it changes everything.
Why do you think so many women send out such a desperate signal? I was watching a show this week on television that these women were so desperate to find the right person that they were sort of analyzing every male that crossed their paths. I mean, what is that?
Well, I think first of all, part of it is because men haven't taken an active leadership role. By not taking your role, the women are saying, well, maybe we ought to step up and do something. And, you know, and the second part of that is they just want to have real, unconditional, sacrificial love. And we've based so much on the sex part, so much on just the romantic part, that we've forgotten that love is a choice. You know, it's a commitment that we get to make.
Well, why do you think men have sort of walked away from that role?
I think some of it's cultural. I mean, I think some of it's easier not to be. It's easier to sleep around. It's easier to have no responsibility. And, you know, we've always bought into the lie that men have to have sex. Well, you know, I haven't seen any abstinence-related deaths anytime around, you know. It's just not happening. But, you know, we've kind of bought into that cultural lie that that's the way it needs to be.
Do you think young Christian adults have sort of bought into that lie that you can have Jesus in the world too? It seems to me like you don't meet a lot of young people who are really willing. The fear of being alone or maybe never marrying kind of keeps them from doing the right thing.
Right, yeah. There's freedom in Christ, but there's not freedom from Christ. And we've confused the two. You know, we can live our godly values out in our world, but we can't let the world influence our godly values. And when those are backwards, your relationship is going to be a nightmare.
You strongly advocate staying away from premarital sex, and you make the statement, draw a line and take a step back. But the one that had me laugh out loud as I was reading the book was stay vertical. I thought, that'll do it.
Well, the whole stay vertical comment's just that, you know, how many people have sex the first time standing up? You know, it's not that it's not possible. It's just that it usually doesn't happen. And so, you know, it's a good reminder. Is like, don't put yourself in a compromising situation where you're going to set yourself up for sex in such a way that the intimacy and the commitments aren't connected.
You know, Jason, I think every person, whether they're 40 or 24, is looking for real love, for someone to genuinely love them and that they can genuinely love. What encouragement would you give to young adults today to sort of stay the course and wait for God's best?
Yeah. You gotta remember that romantic love is built upon God's unconditional love. Without God's unconditional love there, God doesn't have love or show love. He is love. So without that as a foundation, it's all for naught. And if you can remember to be the number one thing in your life, everything else, the house, your life is built upon that. And that gives people hope.
Now here you are at 31. You're ready to get married.
Yes, I am ready.
There are a lot of young single Christians who are saying it's so hard to meet somebody. How do young adults meet other like-minded Christians?
Yeah. You know, I think most young adults just aren't following their passions in life. You know, God puts our passion into us about whether that's teaching or being outdoors or reading or writing, whatever it is. And when you follow that passion, it lets your internal light shine. And that's what attracts people to you. So don't wait for somebody to be there for you. Don't wait for your life to start. Let your light shine, and then your life will have already started and just continue when you get married.
Well, there's so much wisdom in your book. I just really want to encourage all of you to get a hold of it. It's called Undressed, The Naked Truth About Love, Sex, and Dating. You ought to read it. If you're a young person, if you're a parent, you ought to read it and then pass it on to your kids to read it, because it really is centered on God's way of living. Thank you so much. It's great to have you with us again. Congratulations to you. Pat?